Apex Legends. I started playing this game in January 2020, before the pandemic, when socializing was still an option. And for me, this game is the proof that a VR game can actually be good, since I've always considered boring other previous similar games like Fortnite or PUBG. And well, turns out I'm not the only one. Apex is considered by many the best VR game out there. It won many prizes, including the category Best Game You Suck At of the Steam Awards 2020. That is pretty relatable. But saying that a game is good is easy. Everyone can do that. The hard part comes when you try to figure out why you enjoy that game. So that's what I'm gonna try to do in this video. I'm gonna talk about movement, gunfights, and how this game addresses the main problem of VR games: third party. And in the end, I'm gonna talk about what, in my opinion, are currently the main problems of Apex. This, of course, from my perspective, I'm not a pro player, I'm just an ordinary gamer who plays with a 60Hz monitor, a scout gaming mouse, the small mousepad, and a keyboard that sometimes stops working every time when I'm fighting. So when you start to play this game, one of the first things you discover is that you can move with WSD, run with shift, jump with space, and crouch with control. Impressive, right? Let's be honest, for many games there's nothing else to say about movement. Well, not for Apex. In this game what usually happens is that you see other people doing weird things, and then you think, yo, that's cool, I want to do that. So you start to search movement guides on the internet and find out about slide jumps, wall bounces, top strafes, super jumps, and other bugs of the game who turned out to be features. Then you spend countless hours in the firing range trying to do what you just saw in that tutorial video with G-Wave music in the background. And when you start using that secret movement technique in public matches, well, that makes you survive more fights, and that feels good for a simple reason. You start to do epic things, maybe escapes or clutches, those things you usually see in other people's videos and always thought were cool. In other words, you're getting better, and getting better in a video game feels good and makes you want to become even better. And the good news is that there is always some new trick to master when it comes to Apex movement, so learning never stops. So adding a skill curve for the movement of an FPS game is generally a good idea, especially in a battle royale game like Apex, since when you're not fighting, just holding W is surely more boring than pressing a combination of buttons to get a speed boost, like slide jumping. And when you're fighting, well, you have more options, as we'll see later. That becomes pretty evident if we look at the Legends pick rate. As you probably know, there are different types of Legends in this game, but the most picked ones are Legends that give some sort of movement boost, like Octane, Wraith, Pathfinder, Horizon, and so on. So the next thing you find out when playing Apex is that you can shoot with left mouse button and aim with right mouse button. Alright, this time there are no secret shooting tricks, but to me gunfights in other games feel boring when compared to Apex. In this game, every time I fight, my heart rate rises, I start to sweat and I get super focused. That feels good and make winning fights more epic and satisfying. And I think there are many factors that make gunfights in Apex so engaging, but probably the most important two that make a powerful combo are 1. Accuracy penalty while moving is minimal, and 2. Time to kill is high when compared to other FPS games. The first point allows you to hit consistent shots on an enemy while moving, and that means that the ability to dodge the opponent's bullets while hitting your shots becomes quite relevant. This makes aiming in this game a lot harder because your enemy is constantly trying to dodge your bullets, and also because you need to counter aim, that is, adjusting your aim as you move. Otherwise you'll miss every bullet while fighting a firing range dummy. The second factor that makes fights in Apex really intense is a high time to kill. That means that consistency is what really matters, so even if you catch an enemy out of position, that may not be enough for you to kill them, and after that you can still make dumb plays and die. But that also means that if you're the one who is in a bad spot, you still have some options to make it out alive, especially if you're in a building, since you can usually break line of sight pretty easily. That is possible also because 1. For most guns, the headshot multiplier is below 2, so hitting a lucky headshot doesn't help that much, unless for some guns like the Wingman and the Kraber. And 2. The slow you get from bullets is not a huge deal. The wiki says you get a 10% slow for 0.25 seconds, and this can only happen once every 3 seconds. And of course you don't get slowed at all if you're playing Gibby or Caustic. I want to end this first part of the video talking about what in my opinion is the most annoying problem of VR games: third partying. That is, killing a team that just won a fight against another team. Having big maps is surely a good mitigation for this problem, because it reduces the probability of a third team attacking you just after you win a fight. However, that also makes a game more boring, since 99% of the time you're just wandering around the map doing nothing. For this reason, Apex Legends maps are pretty small, so third partying happens a lot. Also, because players can rotate very quickly using ziplines, balloons, or some Legends abilities like Octane's jump pad. In my opinion, in Battle Royale games, third partying will always be a thing, and the best solution I can think of to avoid being third partied is just don't take fights, which by the way is exactly what happens in tournaments. However, I think that Apex has something to counter this problem. First of all, Legends abilities. There are some Legends that are good at making a certain place difficult to push. A perfect example of that is Caustic, who can use his barrels or his ultimate to buy some time to maybe revive a teammate. Another classic example is Wraith Portal, since taking an enemy's portal is pretty much always a bad idea. But the thing that really makes the difference in my opinion is shield swapping. So in short, when you kill a team, their death boxes have their shields completely recharged. That means that if you're low on health, you don't actually need to waste time using shield cells or a shield battery, but you can start fighting immediately by swapping your empty shield with the death box one. This is not always enough, and you will still die to third parties, but it definitely helps a lot. And in my opinion, if shield swapping wasn't a thing, the game would be way more boring and annoying. Like in every multiplayer game, people have a lot of complaints, depending on how much they play the game, their playstyle, if they play with controller or mouse and keyboard, and so on. I'm gonna talk now about two problems that ruin my experience in this game: LMGs and audio. Apex Legends has a wide variety of guns. There are sniper rifles, marksman weapons, assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, and the wingman for gigachads. And so what happens with these weapons is that, of course, the amount of damage you do depends on how much you miss before reloading your gun. And if you miss really few bullets, you can actually one-clip a player. Now, the idea of an LMG is that you have more bullets in your clip at the cost of a slightly lower damage per second, longer reload time, and big movement debuffs while holding the gun. So with an LMG, even if you miss a lot of bullets, you can still do a lot of damage, so that increases the beam zone, but that's fine because you should be more of an easy target for your opponent. Now in Apex, unfortunately, this does not happen, because the hip-fire accuracy of LMGs is way too accurate. So yeah, ADSing with an LMG gives a 60% movement debuff compared to a 50% movement debuff of an assault rifle, but at close range it really does not matter, since you just hold M1 and let the gun do the rest. This makes LMGs, in my opinion, just annoying to play against, since if you have a terrible aim like me, you can still get kills you shouldn't get by, again, just holding M1 and Pepega shooting. Now the next problem I want to talk about is audio. That is a pretty well-known problem in the community. Now first of all, I want to say that I love sounds in this game. If knocking down somebody feels really good, it's for the most part because of the audio, and when you one-clip somebody, oof, eargasm. On the other hand, in a VR game like Apex, audio gives extremely important information about enemies' position and behavior, if they're pushing or just chilling in a building, and many plays you decide to make are based only on this information. For example, if you're fighting and you hear a new team is approaching behind you, you probably want to disengage to not get third-partied and die. Since fights are so intense and require a lot of focus, could certainly happen to not hear an enemy pushing you. However, it's undeniable that sometimes in this game footsteps are missing. When that happens and you die because of it, it's really the most annoying feeling you can have in Apex Legends. I think we all agree on that. Now, I'm not a dev of this game, but this month I try to understand why that happens and, think about a possible solution. And well, what I noticed is that usually when the footsteps audio is missing, is because a louder sound is playing in the background, like a revived dropship, an ability like Fuse Q, a loud gun like a Flatline, heat shield sounds, zombed sounds, and so on. Just think about it. How are you supposed to hear something so quiet like footsteps when all these loud sounds are playing in the background? For this reason, I think a probably just partial solution that would indeed make the audio in this game better is to let the player customize in detail the audio in this game. So give the player the choice to disable or reduce the max volume of some sounds. I know it sounds complex, but I think that will help a lot. Anyways, that was it for this video. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment. I have only 1000 hours in this game, and I'm sure there are more experienced players out there who can absolutely demolish all the opinions I said in this video. See you in the next one.